Okay, we're live. We're live, and it's a lazy Sunday morning. I'm very gray. I've realized I basically just have a completely gray. I need to get a poster or something up there. It's barely visible. It's actually probably not the best frame for this thing, but it's a signed print from Tyler Jacobson, D&D artist. Pretty cool. Got it in a Kickstarter for his art book. At any rate, let's sip some coffee. Let's paint up some spooky boys. I don't really have a plan for today. I was thinking maybe just some goofy looking alien fellas. Got some sketches. One of these guys kind of looks like Majin Buu kind of thing going on. Just some little spooky sketches, little lumpy, fleshy muscle boys, yeah. Let's just get sketching. Maybe do some painting. Just kind of paint over these fellas. See how it goes. Don't really have any intentions. It's Sunday. It's Sunday morning, and that means that you can toss all of your worries and your woes out the window and just paint and draw what comes to you, what feels natural. This guy's lips, for example, so natural. I have a tendency to make things kind of squat. Trying to get out of that. This guy's got, a nice big chunky brick of a chin. Can make his eyes a little bigger. Yeah, his face is proportioned to normally. I think we want something a little crazier. And I'm kind of thinking I want to get into the painting part of this pretty quick. And just go right in with the Clip Studio oil paint brushes, because they're pretty fun to just kind of slop around with. I have Corel Painter, but I don't really I'm not really very well versed in it, and I don't know. I think I just bought it when it was on sale, so it's not really something I've got any experience with. So I'm not really even that much of a painter. I'm definitely more of a drawer. I like inking stuff. Digital inking. No longer a necessary thing to do for publications, but I still think the aesthetic is nice, and I just enjoy that a little more. Perhaps you can hear my dog barking in the background, guarding the house from dangers. We need a peaceful, tranquil Sunday, and he's making sure that the dangers are kept at arm's length. The many dangers of our, suburban existence are in check. Perhaps somebody's walking by with their dog, and they're thinking, that house looks like a tasty snack, and I'm gonna break in there, and I'm gonna I don't know what they do. I feel like it's our TV is mounted to the wall. They could try and take our TV, but probably more effort than it's worth, frankly. They could try and steal my three-legged dog. And you know what? He'd probably be cool with it. I think he's down to live in a house with another dog, and he basically loves all humans. So, he's not much of a guard dog, but he does like to bark at people. It's just how he do. Hopefully the music is coming in okay. I've got some lo-fi beats going. Lo-fi beats for a nice Sunday. All right, this guy's looking like he's fun. He's a fun little guy. Let's just get in there. Let's just get in there and start painting it up. I'm just gonna jump in with the oil paint flat brush. Make him kind of a purpley fella. I'm just gonna paint right on these lines. You know, these lines are not precious or anything. And I really have next to no idea what I'm doing right now, and that's okay. Basically no clue. It's fine. And we'll just see what happens, you know. See what comes of this little experiment. A la, you know, Bob Ross kind of an approach, you know. Just kind of get some big chunkies of paint, you know, digital paint, magic paint, just pixels. Get some pixels on there and figure it out as we go, you know, and just see what happens with that. Jump over, give him some, maybe make his eyes darker or something later, but this is fine for now. Yep. Just keeping it nice and loose, and you know, whatever it's going to be, that's what it's going to be. We'll just refine as we go. Yeah, nice purple mass of alien fella. We like it. We love it. There we go. All right, let's jump back into some darker colors here, darker purples. I'm kind of basically just chose this color at random. I mentioned Majin Buu earlier. Just kind of going for that sort of vibe, you know. Give him some nice definition on his brows. His fine brows. He's got a kind of scrunched up. He's got those nice big eyebrows. Kind of give him, some more definition around the edges. We can always go back in and muss that up a little bit. This is looking more like an ear than I intended as well. But again, just experimenting. Just kind of mussing around with these here brushes. Yeah, I'll just go in right away and make his eyes it's kind of like dark, reflective, black. He's a spooky alien of some type. So that's probably the most appropriate way to go, right? Just kind of give him some nice dark. Like, ooh, what's he got going on there? Now I'm kind of going in with this black. You know, this is probably not the best idea, but I'm getting back into my drawer mentality. I'm just kind of getting some holdy line type things in there. And we can always, that's the beauty of digital, is you can always go back and kind of scrub that stuff out. All right, let's get some nice pinks going. Kind of refine away some of these areas here. Ooh, he's looking nice and lumpy, like a big chewed up piece of bubble gum. We love to see it. He's a bubblegum fella. Oh yeah. So again, no real purpose to this drawing, but it is, I am testing out the Clip Studio time-lapse recording features for the purpose of turning this into like a stream preview kind of thing. This is becoming too nose-like. There we go. There we go. Yeah. Okay. There we go. I like that. But anyway, yeah, turning this into kind of a before the stream thing. If you're here at the beginning, you might have noticed my little Schrock drawing, painting thing. I was kind of messing around with doing a time-lapse like video intro, but the thing about it is you really got to spend a lot of time to make it look pleasing to watch. Because it's like recording the strokes that it's not recording the strokes you make, I should say, or it is. It's like each stroke being like one distinct thing that it records. So it's like if I did this and covered a bunch of ground, this in the time lapse would all just appear at once, right? This big purple glob here. And that's not exactly what we're looking for. So let's give this guy, you know what we're going to do? We're going to grab this, move it down a little bit. Okay, and we're going to give this guy some more satisfying silhouette. Give him a nice spiky thing there, nice chunky brow. There, his cheeks kind of coming out. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, so now we've kind of lost some of that earlier just random stuff that I put in, and we're going to kind of go in and put it back. Just sort of willy-nilly, as it were. Just feeling it out, feeling around, seeing what we see. Getting nice and painty with it. We love it. There might be a little too much gray in this. I'm kind of losing some of that fun color that was in there before, but that's all right. That is A-okay. We're just kind of experimenting again. Now, I did, I think actually my profile picture sort of in this style, kind of accidentally. It was just experimenting again with these oil brushes, and I find it tough to kind of go, it's like when you're still learning a tool and you're learning the brushes and everything, it can be kind of hard to go into it with like an intention or a sketch. So this is like way easier because this is just an amorphous kind of blob guy. And he's kind of evolving some more sophisticated features as we go, but it didn't start from anything more than like a really kind of generic sketch. Or maybe I'm just more comfortable with creatures in this sense. Like getting, really nice looking actual humans is kind of, I'm still trying to get there with this style, even though I really enjoy the flow of it because it's so direct. It's just like, just get in there and make some stuff, which I love. I love not having barriers to the flow of the painting or drawing process. So like sometimes you can get really easily with digital bogged down in layers and effects and different layer filters and type. You got your multiply layers, your hard light layers, whatever. All that stuff can just get in the way. Get in the way of having fun. Really enjoying yourself. I think pretty soon though, I think I want to get some more saturation in here. I want to get some different kind of colors for the lighting and everything. And again, just kind of going with like a generic top-down lighting scenario here, but just because that's the easiest to kind of flow with. I'm thinking maybe what goes good with pink. I am a color amateur for sure. This is very intuitive, and because I'm just kind of bouncing around you can't even see the color wheel because it's. I wonder if I could just bring this out here. You guys even see that? Oh, it's because it's in a different window now. So it's like not the window that I'm capturing with the stream. Whatever. It's fine. It's fine. You get the idea. I'm not doing anything fancy or special here, so it's not like there's secrets that I'm hiding. Just is what it is, really. No secrets here. No secrets among friends. We're all friends here. Every human that that chooses to watch this, probably after the fact. I don't think I'm going to get anybody in here today, which is fine. We're just sketching around, and that's A-okay. We don't mind that at all. We're just sketching around. This will be here for posterity, If anybody wants to see the humble beginnings of this YouTube endeavor, they can come back to this stream and say, this is one of the spots where it all began. When they're writing my many biographies, the great art movements that I started with my incredibly, incredibly cool and unique painting techniques. This is where they'll go. Now, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm getting some blues in here. That doesn't feel right. What to do? What to do indeed. Let's just try and get some random kind of blues going on. In the eyes, around some areas of interest, Kind of like bluish sort of highlight thingies. Not highlights even, just like to communicate that there's some blue light. I feel like pink is sort of a weird. This pink that I got going is kind of weird, but it does have it's kind of like it's a warmish color, so we can drop some kind of blue in there. And what I found is that you kind of go in with sort of this kind of approach, where you're just kind of adding it willy-nilly, and then as you go back and kind of scrub it out, it leaves its mark, on the piece, and that's fine. It leaves its mark in a kind of subtle way. It's like, I am not a traditional painter by any means, but this is kind of close to that in the sense that these brushes kind of blend everything together in a way. So let's go back to the pink purple. I'm going to drop it down, get a little darker there, and get in on the edges here a little bit. Now I could do some stuff with the marquee tool here. That might be called for. That might be necessary. Just grab a spot and drop some stuff in there. This is a nice way to really figure out what are the limits of your ability. Not in like I don't even want to say a diagnostic way, but it's like, what do I want to be able to do, and what am I incapable of doing just intuitively, and where can I go to learn that? I have James Gurney's, I think it's Color and Light. I don't think it's Imaginative Realism, and I've like never cracked it open. I love James Gurney. I think his YouTube stuff is great because so much of it is he has all these like analog effects and transitions, and like the title cards are all just like stuff that he built or printed or painted on a real surface, and then he just kind of like floats them in front of the camera. I think that kind of stuff is fantastic and really fun. And I know that he has some great things to say about painting. Obviously, he's a master, a masterful painter, and she got to meet him at an event at the Flint Institute of Art here in Michigan, and that was pretty cool. He gave a talk about his career. It was part of an exhibit that they were doing. It was like the Enchanted exhibit, if you're familiar with that book. It's like basically a traveling exhibit that has a bunch of famous, fantasy art stuff, fantasy art paintings. And there was a day where he was speaking. It was like the guy who did the Spiderwick Chronicles. There were a couple others that I missed. But I was lucky enough to get to talk like very briefly with him after the thing, and he signed my Dinotopia books that I had when I was just a wee lad. That was very cool. He was very, very, very friendly. He signed my copy of Color and Light as well. It was pretty neat. And now I feel like I have to get into it, right? I have to use it. Otherwise I just feel like I would be squandering this beautiful thing that he produced with so much care and effort. I think there's a lot to be said for choosing your kind of learning path and making sure that you're not just doing whatever's popular or whatever, or studying what everyone else is studying just because they're studying it. And obviously James Gurney's stuff for painting gets recommended all the time. And that's in part because there is a lot of like fundamental stuff in there, but it's also like part of that. It's now like entered the art education zeitgeist, as it were. And frankly, if you just want to draw cool comics that are inked in that like specific comic book style, just really dark, bold lines, and somebody else is going to color it, or you're going to color it in a really simple way, just like flats, and throw some basic shadows in there, or rely more on your line work and big pools of dark shadow with those inks. James Gurney might not be particularly helpful to you, but I find myself really enjoying this process. And it would probably behoove me to take a look at some of that stuff in a more in-depth way, because I do really enjoy it. Now I'm definitely kind of getting into a point where I'm going in and doing more of a line arty thing, which isn't necessarily bad, but it's not exactly what my goal is here. So I think it's time to go back in and get some big chunkies of pink in there. Maybe I should be using the color picker a little bit more. I'm definitely like kind of off on some of this. But what I really love is just the ability to like go in and totally like blot over the areas you didn't like, and you end up with something kind of new as you further refine, whatever it is you're messing around with here. So there's kind of this, recursive process of going back and forth, general to specific, going back in and refining out the little details that you put in there that don't really fit, and then just reacting to that and seeing how it goes. Very enjoyable, I think. A very enjoyable and worthwhile way to approach a piece like this where it is more on the intuitive side and you're just kind of mucking around in there, mucking around in the dirt, trying to find some fun little gloopy chunks of flesh and shapes and things. And that is one thing, like, I do want to kind of try and use this to, figure out, like how do I get to that finished state with this style? And is it just kind of choking up on it and really getting in there and kind of refining it like this? And maybe that is exactly what I want to do for a little bit. Get in there and kind of refine some of these edges, deepen the little crevasses where the flesh kind of bunches up here, where his pink bubblegum flesh kind of starts to, and maybe kind of in keeping with that style that I've become enamored with lately, just kind of a chunky kind of holding edged line for now, and seeing, and again, experimenting here, kind of reacting to whether or not that adds to the piece or it is distracting, and whether or not I like that, and whether or not that's the kind of piece that we're going for. So let's just go ahead and kind of do that. Now, I've got this all on one layer. Reminds me, I should probably save this. Always remember to save, ladies and gentlemen. That's a very important, really the most important part of the process. Just save every 5 to 6 seconds or so. Just Control S. Just be constantly hammering on it. You can get yourself one of those little tiny keyboards with, like, where you can, you just got, like, it's like half a keyboard or something, but just have Control S on there, or just map whatever buttons there are there to Control S, every single one. So no matter where, you just slam on it, like you're smacking like a button on a game show, and basically all of your art woes will be solved. There's nothing that you can't accomplish once you've locked that into your process. Ooh, yeah, I'm enjoying this fella, this strange alien fella. He looks kind of sad. He looks a bit forlorn. I don't know what it is. He's just a sad fella now. I wonder what he's thinking about. I wonder what his homeworld is like. Do you think he still has a homeworld? Maybe he's sad because his homeworld just got, I don't know, Death Starred or something. Which is a pretty silly thing if you think about it, like the Death Star. Just like, assuming the Star Wars universe works anything like ours, which it doesn't. But if it did, like wantonly destroying habitable planets, when life is so delicate and being in space just kind of totally blows. Like, I don't know if you ever looked at, accounts from astronauts. Like, it's pretty cool for, a hot sec. But, you're living up there, like, your bones turn into mush and your muscles deteriorate and everything's floating around. Obviously, in Star Wars, they have artificial gravity and whatnot. So it's like exactly, living on a spaceship is like exactly like, living on Earth, or an Earth. But still, like, it doesn't look terribly comfortable, to live on a spaceship. They might be obviously, if you have the resources of the Empire, you can build these planet, moon-sized space stations, but that can't be terribly resource efficient. That just doesn't seem like a great idea. So, like, ideally, you would want to, take over and control planets, but at that point, they've just, because of hyperspeed travel, it's just like there's nearly limitless real estate. I don't know. Maybe that's That's the idea. And so it's like, yeah, we just need this as a threat. It's a crazy threat. This empire's run by a nut job. Who, doesn't care about having nice habitable planets like Alderaan to live on. Beautiful forested planets. So the guy's evil, right? He's just like, yeah, just destroy that entire planet, despite the fact that living in space, freaking blows. I don't care. No, we're not going to take over the planet. Are you insane? Do you know how costly that would be to take over this planet instead of, just building a moon-sized space station and then blowing it up? Do you know how expensive it would be to actually go in and forcibly take over this planet? Totally. What a silly thing is Star Wars, Just so silly. But I think it's like people forget that it's just it's just Flash Gordon or whatever. Isn't that what Lucas wanted to make? He wanted to make Flash Gordon. He couldn't get the rights to it. Isn't that the story? So he made Star Wars instead. And to be fair, Andor was pretty good. I was gonna say Star Wars, like the original films, are fine. They're cultural phenomena, and they're fine. But Andor was actually pretty good. I enjoyed the first season of Andor. Everybody was like super hyped for Mandalorian, and I think that's just because it wasn't like really cheesy. I mean, it actually is pretty cheesy, but not in like an in-your-face kind of way. It's just like this is like an old school Western. I don't know. I used to, when I was a kid, I don't remember any of this show really. I sort of remember the theme song because I would sing it all the time. And my dad would like make me, like he wouldn't make me sing it. Like I enjoyed singing it. It was a show called Paladin. And like I literally remember almost like nothing about this show except the fact that it was like, I'm pretty sure it was in black and white, and it's about a cowboy, a cool cowboy, dresses in all black. He's got a sweet black cowboy hat and a 6-shooter, and he goes around, doing paladin things. I can't remember if I think Paladin actually was his name, or at least his title, or like his moniker, I remember nothing about this, but like that's how generic some of the stuff in Mandalorian feels like, right? It's just like, oh, we're going to this town, we're gonna get out our 6-shooters and we're gonna tussle with some local fella or some evil government people or rebels or whatever, like if it's like that's Mandalorian. So it's not a terribly complex thing. And honestly, like now that they're getting into like, oh, there's lore and there's like the Mandalorians, there's this sword, and whoever wields the sword gets to run the Mandalorian show. And if you don't follow the rules, you can't have the sword. But you have to win the sword in combat, so if you break the rule, I don't know. I'm like doing a terrible job of describing this show, but honestly, the point that I was trying to make was that it's rather generic, but feels fresh because it's drawing on very old stuff, right? It's drawing on, an era of Westerns that, aren't really popular or utilized anymore. An era of Westerns that, frankly, are pretty boring and kind of like lost to the wind because, they don't really have anything to say about modern society. Right? It's like the kind of Westerns that exist now, and I haven't watched these shows, but like the kind of there's there's one Western, that I think has Western motifs that I really like, and that's like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Those have like a more kind of complex kind of Western narrative themes, not just because they take place in the West, but just like the idea of kind of gunslingers, so to speak, kind of going into uncharted territory and getting theirs at any cost. The kind of gold rush style Western, not the cowboys and Indians and bank robbers and people catching criminals kind of Western, but or like the bounty hunter Western, but the more American dream kind of Western, people getting caught up in things that take on a life of their own, and they're just kind of stuck in this wasteland trying to make it. That was a very off the cuff analysis of Breaking Bad, but the point is, Mandalorian is Paladin, not Breaking Bad. But like the Western, I think that people resonate with now is the Breaking Bad style Western. Let's get some yellows in here, maybe. Let's get some, just get a little bit of kind of yellow light action going on. I don't know if that's right. I don't know if that's quote unquote correct to do. But we're gonna go ahead and do it. Staring out at the sun of a brave new world, having explored for ages upon his space vessel, this poor alien fellow finally sees the light of a star which contains a habitable planet that hasn't been blown to smithereens by the evil Empire. Like, if there was like a cyborg race that could survive in space or something, like, it would make sense for them to maybe have a Death Star, right? It's like, well, we can exist in space and our bones don't like turn into mush, and we don't need air. We don't need habitable planets that we can terraform. We don't need to find planets in that Goldilocks zone or whatever, close enough to the sun. These other space races, these disgusting biological freaks, they don't like us, and they're trying to wipe us off the face of the galaxy. So we're just going to go around blowing up any even remotely habitable planet so they can't occupy them. That'd be pretty cray. That would still be kind of nuts to do, but maybe why not? At least it would make sense. Because the Empire in Star Wars is just made up of like a bunch of like regular dudes. Like dudes who like work at the IRS. That's one thing that's kind of fun about Andor is the just kind of delving into the bureaucracy of the Empire in a way that's not like boring and meaningless like the kind of politics of the prequels, but in a way that's like, both aesthetically and kind of psychologically interesting. I think that show does a good job with that. I am kind of digging. I'm kind of digging this. Kind of digging this kind of yellowish thing going on. And you know what it's turning into? It's actually starting, now that I look at the just the little thumbnail, or not the thumbnail, you know what I mean. It kind of looks like it's turning into flesh. Like human-like flesh. And I don't know if I want to get away from that per se. Like the pink is kind of giving it that like, that blood flow underneath kind of thing, which I don't totally mind. Let's see what we can. But I don't love bringing it into the shadows. I think. Yeah, let's go back here. Get some on the lower lid here. Some light on those lids. Those fine lids. Yeah, I'm enjoying this fellow. I am enjoying him quite a bit. Alright, let's get some dark panks and purples back in there. Kind of go. You know what I'm really enjoying about this process is kind of the free flow between going from like working on the lights to working on the shadows. I find that when I draw and paint digitally, there's this sort of like process you get locked into that is very much, okay, I'm working on the lines, and now I'm working on, the flats, and now I'm working on the colors, getting some more refinement on the colors, and now I'm working on the shadows, and then I'm going to go in at the end and add some highlights and brighten things up a little bit and add the light. It's like it's very, very rigid in that sense. And I like with this process is kind of like bouncing back and forth, reacting to what's happening with each. And I guess you could do that at any point, but when you're doing something a little more tight, what you kind of end up with is like it like feels wrong to skip ahead, Oh God. Save. Gotta save. It was chugging a little bit there. And I think I might need to go in and do some refinement on the eyes here in a minute. And maybe at some point kind of mess around with some other brushes here. This is, again, the oil paint flat brush, one of the standard painting brushes that comes with Clip Studio Paint, and it's frankly great. I love it. I really enjoy it. And the flat brush is a little less messy, I find, than the regular oil paint brush, which we might actually want to grab. So the oil paint brush is a circular brush, just the regular one anyway. And it gets a little, I don't know what the word, it's like a little smudgier. It picks up more of the other colors around it as you're painting with it. So it's good for like kind of big areas and kind of the more general approach, And we could use it to kind of get a little smudgy here. What I want to do is bring some of that pink back into the middle of his face. And I might let's try the watercolor for that. Let's try the watercolor because I think it will smooth things out a little bit. It's going to be kind of an interesting way to blend once you've got your paints down. Smooth things out and then we'll go back in and rough them up again, That could be kind of fun. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Kind of an interesting interaction there. Obviously, you could really slam it in and get those pinks back. So I'm going to kind of do on this area here. So rather than just going in straight with the blender, this is like, it's almost like using a blender that has a little bit of color loaded in, which is kind of interesting. I don't hate what's going on here. So you lose a bit of those specific kind of chunks of color, but we can always go back in and fix that, I think. But yeah, I'm kind of muddying things a little bit. I don't totally mind that. I think what we might want to do here is get in there with like a little bit more of a red, you know. So here's a thing. Obviously, there are certain areas of the face where the blood vessels and such are kind of closer, and you get more of a reaction. There's like a reddening of the face, in certain areas like around the nose and certain other areas that get a lot of blood flow. Obviously, aliens don't have to have red blood. I don't know. They can have whatever kind of blood they want, or whatever makes sense, depending on how science fiction-y you want to get with it. Or depending on how much fiction you want in your sci-fi, right? Like, obviously, if they have a similar structure to us, they would also have red blood, yada, 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 whatever. Point being, I think you could kind of rely on that kind of redness, that people react to in a way that, it feels natural on a human, and then you're looking at a humanoid creature with a face, and you could kind of borrow a little bit of that, right? You could kind of say, okay, well, I'm going to toss some red in there around the places where there's usually red, just so it looks more convincing to human viewers. Obviously, till we make contact in a sustained fashion with our alien brethren across the galaxy, and who knows when that's going to be. Obviously, until then, till that point, we're mostly drawing for other humans, right? Now, obviously, there's the elephant in the room, the AI overlords that are trying to come in and take our jobs, take all the art jobs and such. That is, of course, a possibility. But, even that, there's no one there to draw for. And that's really more of a case of, trying to get AI to draw for humans and not the other way around. I mean, in a certain way, because there's like this whole like, oh, I don't want them using my art for training data. But like, let's say, you were paid to create training data for an AI. Would you be drawing for the AI? Like, not really. The AI isn't like consuming it in a way that, a human or like a conscious being would consume it. It's just kind of, like, I don't know what you call it, but in any case, it's not perceiving, it's not reacting to what you're creating in the way that a functional, like, conscious brain would react, So we don't really have to think about that too much. All right, so what I'm going to do, I think, is go back to the oil paint brush and just get some reds in there. I don't know where exactly I want those. So maybe around the eyes. Just kind of this general area around the eyes. That's too big. I don't want to do too much, what do you call it? Too much undoing, you know what I mean? Actually, what I'm going to do here is kind of blot in some red. Maybe around his cheeks as well. Just kind of blot it in there. And then go back in. Maybe actually with the blender this time, or I don't know. Maybe go back in with the pink. don't know. Again, I don't really know what I'm doing here. It's just kind of whatever comes natural. Whatever comes natural. That's what we're going with. Make some happy little trees. Make some happy little trees a la Bob Ross. He's gonna be so happy. This guy's gonna be so happy when he finds a planet with some goddamn trees on it. Just one single tree that hasn't been destroyed by the Empire. The evil planet-destroying Empire. Those bastards. I'm getting a little heavier with this red than I intended, but you know, I don't totally hate it. I don't hate it. You know what's this shadow area has become a little fuzzier than I would like, but that's okay for the time being. We're gonna get back in here with the flat brush, I think, and kind of reclaim some of this region for the pink. I don't love that. Okay, said we wouldn't do too much undoing, but I think I'm going to go in with the watercolor instead. And you know, I don't really mind that I'm in here alone. That's okay. Again, this will be for posterity. And hopefully in the future, you know, I can do something maybe with this footage, but, you know, the main thing I want to do with it is get this time lapse and utilize it for stream preview purposes, you know, just have something playing while the stream is waiting to get started, as opposed to my Shrork, which you can scrub back and see the beautiful off-brand Shrek that I produced. Yeah, I don't quite know what to make of that. I think he's lost some definition in this area that we want to reclaim with maybe the flat brush again. So the flat brush, yeah, still picks up a little bit of the stuff that's going on, you know. Still blends a little bit with the other colors, but not as aggressively as the other brushes we've been using, at least. Okay, yeah, we want to get back in here and give him some more definition in his little brow area. And ooh boy, I'm getting a wee bit peckish. I could use a little snack, a little tasty snack. Maybe jumping the gun on some of these smaller details, but that's okay. Again, we are operating without specific intention. We just have those couple sketches that we're kind of using for inspiration here. Let's pull those up again. Let's see. Yeah, pretty different from what we're getting here. I think it's the head, the forehead, but these ones are definitely not quite similar, except in the kind of like lips and the sort of like knot nose thing they've got going on. I guess these fellas don't do much for smell. Maybe they have nostrils, or maybe like this whole wad of flesh here just has little sensors on it that are kind of their olfactory nerves, just like on the outside. instead of the inside. He kind of looks disgusted. I don't know where that came from. I think it's the way that I added these brows back, his, kind of the furrowing in his brows back in, and like the curl of his lip is kind of becoming a disgusted curl. Ew. Ugh. Humans, disgusting. The Empire won't even need to destroy their planet. They're doing a fine enough job on their own, aren't they? Well, no matter. We'll just take over their planet and use them as some kind of slave labor. We'll turn them into our guinea pigs for our experiments. They deserve not this beautiful verdant planet that they've been bestowed. The Glorpfinians will take it from them. The Glorpfinians, that's what these guys are now. You guys remember Men in Black 3? I really don't, except that I think there's an alien that Will Smith runs into from the race known as the Balchinians, because they've just got like a scrotum, like just a nutsack, like on their like chin, and it's like kind of a funny joke, but it's like, obviously like really stupid, lowbrow, like shit. It's like terrible. What a terrible joke. Oh, he's a ball. I think he's like wearing a scarf. And I think Tommy Lee Jones, one of them is like, he's a Balchinian, and that's how Will Smith knows to like punch him in the chin, as if that wouldn't have been a good place to go for in the first place. That's the problem with like how would the Balchinians have evolved? Have this really vulnerable like thing like right on their face so that somebody could easily punch it whenever they pleased. Pretty funny stuff. Pretty funny stuff. And I think we're getting a little lost over here. I think I don't like how his... I think we can go through and destroy this cheek area and just give him some really... Just go back to the drawing board on this a little bit and just kind of smash over his cheeks and simplify them. Simplify them on both sides. I kind of liked the sharpness from before, and maybe it's not just a matter of smashing over his cheeks, but kind of fixing this part here so that the jut of his cheeks kind of isn't disturbed by all this superfluous noise down here. Yeah, that feels a little bit better. And, kind of go back in and bring some of that pink kind of bubble gumminess back into the main area of his face. And kind of get rid of some of these little lines. I don't love how those lip lines are turning out. I think it was too early maybe to go in and add that stuff. Is this an efficient process? Probably not. Is it fun? Absolutely. Yeah, get more definition on those brows. I'm loving it. I wonder how many times I've said brows in this stream. So let's get in here with some of these shadows. Give that a little more oomph. And then maybe go in and do some kind of soft edges and stuff. We'll try the blender. See how that goes. We'll try the blender, make ourselves a nice little smoothie, a nice Sunday morning smoothie, which is actually sounding delish right now. I'd actually eat just about anything. I think I got some leftover like Thai curry noodles that honestly sound pretty good right about now. In fact, that might be exactly what I'd go for. Let's just get in there with the blender a little bit. Let's see what that gives us. Just around this kind of cheek area. Okay. Yeah, that. Just here, maybe. Get a little smaller. Go in here. Ooh, and maybe blend into that area. Okay. Do something about his eyes at some point there. They don't pop as much as I would like them to. Blend that down a little bit. Again, it's always okay to kind of blot out some of the details in these kind of darker areas, because you do want them to be, you know, lower fidelity, obviously, than the lit areas. But I think we may have gotten too much of that light in there. So what I'm going to do is go back to that opaque, that oil paint brush, and just kind of, or not the oil paint, the watercolor brush, and just kind of redefine some of that darkness without being too obstructive to that blending that we already did, and see if that works. I don't know if it's working. Like this is not working. This area underneath his lip, because it's like way darker for some reason than the area. Well, I guess that kind of makes sense a little bit. Maybe let's soften that a little bit. Okay, there are things happening here that I don't totally despise. I don't know at what stage of this drawing we're at, this painting. Let's just zoom in a little bit. Let's see what we got going on here. I think a little too dark there. Kind of blend the eyebrows a little bit with this brush. What if I suddenly just made this guy super hairy? I think that's not a terribly common thing with aliens, with alien design. Hair, like furry stuff. Not that kind of furry stuff, guys, come on. But, you know, just like furry things, I feel like obscure, or not obscure, but it just looks too close to, you know, just mammals on Earth. And I think that's because, here's what, you know, we don't typically see the musculature of creatures all that well. Humans are kind of unique in that fact. You know, we're not not covered in fur, and we don't have, so it's pretty easy to see, when you see a person who's fit, you can really see their musculature in a way that you can't with most other animals. And so it's kind of like uncanny when there's like another creature that has that feature. I don't know if there might be something there, there might be something to that. And you got an alien like Chewbacca, and you're just like, yeah, this guy's just a big old dog man. He's just a big friendly dog man. He looks like Sasquatch or something. Looks like Sasquatch if Sasquatch was evolved from some kind of bipedal dog race instead of another sapien race, right? Or like some kind of primate. Yeah, I said it. Chewbacca is space Bigfoot. Is space Bigfoot, but a dog. And so he doesn't have that. The most alien thing about him is like that was the worst Chewbacca. But I can't even do it. No, I'm not going to try again. I'm starting to get a little parched here. Okay, that's better. Don't clip that, please. Not that anybody would, because nobody's watching this. Nobody's gonna watch this. It's fine. I can keep my embarrassments to myself. Maybe someday somebody will watch that, and they will. They'll be like, God, this guy's a total idiot. He thought that was what Chewbacca sounded like. But anyway, what I was saying is Chewbacca, isn't a terribly alien thing, and that's interesting. It's like you want that familiarity, so you immediately connect with that character, right? Or so you immediately understand Chewbacca is a good alien because he's like a friendly, humanoid pooch. And he kind of talks like one too, I guess. I guess his voice isn't that alien. It's just kind of like, just got a weird gurgle to it. He got that gurgle that I couldn't quite get in there. That's all he's got going on, really. He's just a big gurgly boy. And let's get back in on these eyes a little bit. Get those a little rounder, I think. I think we want those to be rounder and darker. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go over these highlights that I did earlier. Just kind of get... I don't love that. I think I went too dark on that. Yeah, too dark. Again, we can always go back in and add those highlights back over, but I do like that blue highlight, and I think, what that tells me is if I want this to be a little more cohesive, I think I need to bring some of that blue back into the rest of the piece. Just a little bit of that baby blue. Actually, I don't know what kind of blue this would be, but what we're going to do is get it in there and then go back in and maybe blend it. I don't know. So it's interesting, throughout the course of this process, I'm like, what's the light kind of color look like? This is very intuitive. This is not, scientific at all. But earlier, what that ended up doing was giving him just like a flesh-colored kind of face. And now, I don't even know what it's doing. Let's try that. Let's do that watercolor again. And just kind of smooth it out. Okay. Smooth that out a little bit. Get it nice and smooth. Smooth with 2 V's. That doesn't make any sense, but that's fine. That's fine. What are you going to call the making sense police? They don't care. They're not going to come. Ooh, okay. At some point, I'm going to need to zoom out and see what this is actually doing to this. Like, is this anything? Is this doing anything that I would find appealing? At what point are we going to get to? Are we going to get to the frustration point with this? Because that can happen, and we have to acknowledge that it can happen, right? It's not bad. It doesn't mean the drawing's a failure. It doesn't mean the painting's a failure. It just means that our art is totally worthless and meaningless, and we should just quit. That's all it means. Don't have to be sad about it. I'm kidding, of course. For those of you out there who haven't heard of this thing called sarcasm, we never experienced despair as artists, so it's fine. I do kind of like where we've ended up at this point. And I think maybe it could be time for lunch soon. I don't know. I don't know how long I've been going. I hid the timer thingy. Ah, there it is. Hour and 14 minutes. Okay. Well, I think we're going to go another 15 minutes, and then it'll be time for lunch. Trying to build my stream stamina, as it were, so to speak. You know, get a good hour. I think an hour and a half is a good amount of time. Good amount of time for this. To have spent painting intuitively. You don't want it to be a chore. The thing about this, is I don't have an explicit purpose for this. And you know what I'm noticing is that I'm not a huge fan of his head ridges. They don't have a lot of definition to them. I think they're I kind of don't know what I want from them. I just thought they looked kind of neat, and maybe I need to kind of go back and make the middle one rather than two, like one super ridge. You know what I mean? Make this one a little less like. We'll think about that. Maybe that's a problem for next time. But what I mean by that is, so you think about kind of like just the sort of big, medium, small design principle where rather than making all these the same relative size and shape, make one of them the hero fleshy skull ridge thing, and make the others a little more. I'm just gonna blur this all in preparation for that. We're not losing anything here. We're not losing anything that has explicit necessary value to us. And we're going to kind of rough in that. Yeah, let's do that. Let's get back to that oil paint. Get our pank back on. Get our pank going. And maybe give him kind of a ridge like that. and then sort of like 2 off to the side here. You know, you can imagine that there's another one over there. Let's see. Get that bubblegum Majin Buu Pank back in. Give him kind of a big bulbous sort of like dinosaur-like ridge thingy. Maybe they use this for some kind of psychic communication. You know, he's giving me a lot of aliens end up with a kind of like fishy vibe. And I think that's just because fish are rather alien-looking creatures to us. It's like, you know, they say it's like, oh, only like, you know, whatever, like 5% of the ocean's been explored. There's crazy stuff down there, you guys. There's all kinds of crazy stuff down there you wouldn't believe. You wouldn't believe what's in the oceans. It's what they're hiding from us down there. Okay. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's a little generic. But then again, we are doing this kind of without a roadmap, without a plan. The intention was really never to design a unique alien, but rather to use this kind of alien motif as an excuse to do some paintings of like a fleshy blob-like fella, right? So in that sense, we have, I think, accomplished elements of that goal here today. And that's good and fun and enjoyable. We like that. We like that, but we don't like it more than the concept of lunch and the fact that lunch is encroaching. The lunching hour is near, and we must go get the lunch. Yes, we must go and get the lunch. But let's get some of that. Let's get some of that blue, that nice blue back in. And maybe I could do something with the color of this sort of ridge crest thing. What is that going to be? I don't know. I don't fully know yet. But yeah, it could have like a different, sort of. I don't know. It could be different somehow. What color would it be? What would make sense? We could just go totally nuts with it. Kind of like make it like a plumage kind of thing, where it's just like a totally wild color. That'd be kind of fun. That would fit with the theme of what we're going for here, you know? I got so excited I just spat upon my tablet. I spat upon it with disdain. I said, God, this disgusting painting this disgusting painting disgusts me. Yeah. That's what, that is how an ignoramus art hater would sound, right? I mean, when it boils down to it, there's certain critiques of things, like even professional critics, where it's just like, yeah, this boring thing bores me. This disgusting thing disgusts me. And to a certain extent, that's fine. I think we don't need to be able to explain every reason why we like or dislike something. But it is a little funny coming from professionals, isn't it? So-called professionals in their field of critique. Which I'm not saying it's like a super common thing. It's really more like the... I like that better, right? But I was going to say it's really more the... I wouldn't even say professional critics, but like the kind of YouTube essayist critic scene. Okay, yeah, we like this. We like where this is going, I think. Yeah, get some. Maybe make the blues are almost part of this ridge. It's not just a lighting thing. Yeah. I am enjoy. I am enjoy. I do. Am. It's good. It's fun. We're having fun. Having fun with this fun little fellow guy right here, you know? I think what I want to do at this point, since we're approaching the lunching hour, is get back in that oil paint flat brush and get a little holding line in there, just to just to establish those edges a little bit, and we can go back and fix that later if need be. And kind of stretch it into the. Maybe this was a mistake. By the gods. This looks like poop. Dare I say. No, it doesn't look that bad, does it? If I wasn't all alone in here, all by my lonesome, this would probably be okay. Okay. Just get that in there a little bit. Get the yeah. Okay. Let me widen this up. I like the chunkiness of this brush. Let's reestablish that little pocket of shadow there. Imagine that on the other side. Okay. All right. Yeah. Ooh, I got a little too much gray in there. For a holding line, it's okay. I don't like what it's done to the interior of the shadow over here, though. But that's all right. These are things that can be fixed later. Yeah, we need to go more purple. It's kind of messing with my brain over here. I'm doing this very fast, and that's because I don't want the lines to look too... you find with these kind of like, oh, it's supposed to be realistic, kind of like a real material, like it's trying to mimic a real material kind of brush. Digitally, when you do it too slow, sometimes, I don't know, it ends up with this less convincing, like a less brush stroke like quality to it. And that's the whole point of using something like this, right? And here's the thing. I think you'd eventually attain better or more satisfying results probably with just traditional media versus trying to mimic traditional media with this stuff. Probably, I don't know, maybe not. It really just depends on your disposition and what you're willing to put up with. I think here's the thing. What's attractive to me about this, the directness of it, sort of applies to traditional, but it also kind of doesn't, because you can't just open up a canvas and just start doing this. You need to prep your paints, you got to have your palette, you got to mix your colors potentially. It just depends on what you're working with. But ironically, there is some barrier there that you don't have with this. And so even if the results are maybe not what you get out of like a practiced traditional approach, you can still get close. You can get close enough that you can be satisfied with your work, and there are benefits to digital. In the sense that anything that we mess up here, really, we can just go right back over and it's fine. Which is pretty cool. Which is pretty cool. I like that. But, the more I work away at these little lines, and I know I intended only to do kind of, like I said, like a sort of like holding line almost for the exterior of this dude. Then I started going in and doing some details and such, and I think now it's like, I gotta go and fix some of this stuff over here. You know what I think was the problem? I think this holding line was too purple. Oh, I realized I totally boned it up over here. Oh no. Oh no, what have I done? And there's this like kind of pink, or not pink, but this yellow stuff that was left over from earlier. It'll be interesting to go back and watch the time lapse on this and see how it goes. Kind of give like a little bit of a I don't know if I like what I've done over here, but it's okay because again we can always go through and fix it, change it, transform it. Ooh, I like that. Art is about transformation. Taking something, taking an idea, taking a feeling, the feeling like you just want to spread some paint around and turning it into spread paint, right? That's really what we're doing here. We're not really taking, this isn't art in the sense that we're trying to deliver a certain emotion or a certain idea about what aliens are supposed to look like, right? That's not what this piece is. This is an expression of the idea that I want to smear some paint around. Like it's nothing more and nothing less than that. And that's not to say that it isn't maybe something more in, the end product doesn't have some other kind of ideas or feelings that it might communicate. I mean, it's probably carrying a little bit of that with it, and it'll have different meanings to the people that eventually perceive it. Maybe this is like, it's just kind of a cool alien guy, whatever. I'm getting a little philosophical here, but just humor me for a moment. But what this ultimately is kind of art as process piece, right? It's not a piece that has anything to do with the actual thing that's being painted. And I think we need to, need is a strong word, but it can be healthy to allow that as part of your artistic practice. Allow for fluctuations in the rigidity of your process, right? So if you're really into inking stuff and there's a very rigid, like, okay, I got my pencil lines. Now I gotta go in with the inks. I'll get the kind of general lines going, and then I'm gonna go in and get these pools of shadow, and then I'm gonna go in and I don't know, like put your flat colors in, whatever your process is. That mixing it up, shaking up your stuff can really give you a new perspective on your work, and it's just fun. It can be just fun, and you don't know if it's going to be fun until you do it, right? There's plenty of these types of paintings that I've started that I just can't bring myself to keep working on because they stop being fun. And I think, it's less so the painting itself and more so the feeling that you're not getting what you want out of it. And sometimes that feeling, you just need to discard it or deal with it in some way to push through it long enough to get something you're satisfied with. And I like this little dude. I like how lumpy he is. I'm going to lose some of these edges and kind of give him some fleshy jowls. Kind of coming down here. And that means I'm going to do it on this side as well. Yeah, we like that. We love it, in fact, I dare say. Ooh. Yeah. Yep, we like that. Okay. Okay. See, this is so much fun, I can't even stop myself, even though I am so hungry right now. Even though I could really go for a nice snack of some type. Probably those curry noodles I mentioned earlier. Delicious. So ready for that. So ready for that Thai curry noodles. Gosh, I just don't want to. I just can't stop myself. And now I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of padding around. I don't even know what colors I've got yellow on here. I've got a yellow on my brush on this watercolor, and I'm just using it to blend. And I don't know, how much, if anything, it's like leaving on here. I think if I really kind of slam it in, you get some more of it, but. Some areas I've definitely made it too muddy, right? This is what is this? The opaque watercolor brush. I think I want to be, careful with the lips. Maybe those have a distinctish color to them as well. We want to get this back to that kind of darkness, though, under the chin kind of area. What's nice is you can, kind of swipe up from the areas that you've already kind of darkened. Especially because if you kind of, and what's interesting about this is the direction of your strokes starts to matter in a way that it doesn't always for digital. So that's kind of fun. That's kind of a fun discovery. I mean, it's like I sort of like knew it intuitively, just based on how these brushes work, but it's fun to notice that kind of stuff. This is why, using these different tools can be really fun. Because you could see this as part of several different processes, right? You could paint line work with this, something that's already really well established, unlike the sketch that I kind of brought into it. And you can get a lot of mileage out of just these couple brushes. I mean, wowza! Look at this fella. Yeah, we're starting to get back into the muddy territory again. So again, it's this kind of discourse between, general, specific, light and shadow. Just what do you want? How do you react to each step of this process? I think we need, actually, we need that to come down kind of like that to make it cohere with what we got going on this side. And that's another interesting thing. Another little thing that it just feels nice to be able to just kind of directly go in and put that down. I don't know how else to describe it. Just feels nice. We're going to go back and darken that up a little bit. Okay, I was very excited a minute ago, and now the hunger is starting to get to me. You got to listen to your body as you do this as well. Just listen to what you're laying down for yourself. That's the whole point of this process, really. That is the whole stankin' point. I think we'll definitely want to come back to this guy. Sometimes I don't come back to these little guys, but I like this little guy. Let me, again, fix this cheekbone area. I do want to leave him in a respectable state, though, you know what I mean? I don't want to leave him hanging on certain glaring issues. There's one thing that has a tendency to happen is you go in, you hammer away at something, especially with these brushes where everything's kind of like blending as you paint, and you're doing it all on one layer. You can kind of lose some of the bigger shapes and some of the bigger ideas that you were trying to go for in a sort of previous state of the piece. Now his lip's kind of funny. I think we can remedy that. Let's see. This lip over here that's kind of slipped into darkness has kind of lost a little bit of, because it was never painted with all the other stuff, I think, is the issue. All the other stuff we had going on, those yellows and those blues, kind of got left out of this lip, this bottom lip. Okay. Now, there's a danger with making yourself a promise like, I've got to get this guy into a respectable state before I finish because I just keep getting hungrier. And this guy keeps getting, well, not less respectable, but not more respectable either. So I think at this point we just got to say, it's okay. And we'll finish him later. And that's all right. But I do want to get back in there again with that flat brush just to define that edge a little more before we leave him. We don't want him to ooze out all over this canvas when we leave it. We want him to have some definition there. Okay, yeah, let's we'll call it. Maybe next time we'll give him a friend as well. Maybe even do that before we go back and finish him, just to see what ideas that puts on the table. And what else we can add to this fun little time-lapse thingy that we're working on. Which I'll probably post as its own little thing at some point in the future. So stay tuned. If you do happen to catch this later, because obviously nobody joined me for this stream, I was all alone. If you happen to catch it later, thank you for watching. If you've watched all the way to this point, you're a trooper. Certainly, I hope I had some interesting things to say. And I hope that you can bring a little Sunday fun day into your art process, just kind of chilling around, making some weird aliens or something. I don't know. Trying out some new tools. Testing the flow of your artistic process with new experiences and ways of creating and transforming your ideas and feelings into something different, something perhaps different than you've tried before. Alrighty. Well, happy Sunday, everybody. And we're going to call it a day. Grab yourself your last sip of coffee. Maybe help yourself to a nice Sunday afternoon snack. Maybe a caprese sandwich or salad. Perhaps some Thai curry noodles. Whatever strikes your fancy. Alrighty. Goodbye. Cheers.